Hello and welcome back to Fuck That. Today I am joined by Alejandro. So I was on Reddit. I feel like that's a really millennial thing to do, is doom scroll on Reddit. And what's funny is maybe about a month or two ago, I went down a North Korea rabbit hole on Reddit. Alejandro, I don't know if you saw this post that went viral where somebody was in China and they flew a drone over to North Korea and took a bunch of photos.
I heard about that, but I didn't. No, I didn't see the actual post.
Yeah, it was insane. And then about a week ago, I came across an AMA, Ask Me Anything, and it said, I hacked North Korea's internet. Ask me anything. And so now I am joined by Alejandro, the man that hacked North Korea's internet. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you got into cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was just kind of a little shithead when I was 13. And I just started, those sort of the days when like hacking was much less serious and it was more just like a hobby and kind of a game, really. So yeah, back then it was the days of like AOL. I don't know how many people remember that, but yeah, AOL days. And I would just kind of screw around with like all the pre-canned programs that were out there, and just got really into it. I, would mess with my friends, get them to download things and then control the computer, open, close their CD trays, etc. So, yeah, I really just started by being a little asshole. So, like, that's pretty much it.
And how did this whole thing with North Korea start?
Yeah, so it's a pretty crazy story. I mean, obviously never saw it coming. So yeah, after I was a little shit, right? I started to get into it professionally after college. It became like an actual job and I kind of jumped on it. So, I've been working for the Department of Defense and intelligence agencies or contracting with them mostly. But, yeah, I've been doing a lot of that kind of work. A lot of it has been like, cleared work as well. So yeah, I think I ended up on somebody's radar, North Korea's radar, obviously, and I think that's because they were looking for some fairly specialized programs that we write called 0 days. That it's basically an implementation of how you would exploit a vulnerability, and one that isn't known to the public yet. So I did that. I was doing that a lot at the time, and therefore talking about it right on things like Twitter. Again, another very millennial thing to do. And yeah, so I ended up on their radar, I guess. And I was contacted by a friend that was basically just like, "Hey, like I have a client that's interested in this. I also own a company, so." I was like, okay, like that's perfect. Like I do this shit for fun and somebody wants to pay me. That's awesome. And they, sure enough, yeah, it's just like a dude that went by the name James Willie. Like totally fake name, right? Like, yeah, that's completely fake. But I didn't really think that much of it. That's not that rare in that world. When you find something like that, like 0 days can go, for context, like anywhere between like 10,000 to $4 to $5 million. So, yeah. like if you find a 0 day in Chrome where you can like get somebody to click on a link and then you take over their computer, which it happens. They're not like super common, but they're not super uncommon either. You can make a lot of money off of them. You can also use them, right? So, they're a lot of times used by, just like really not great people. If you want a lot of money, you can sell it to folks like the Saudis or like, I don't know, Russia or some other country. I just named like 2 countries and called them out. I should list more. New Zealand.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. No.
I was going to say, I would not expect that.
No, they're great. China. There we go. Okay, now I named 3 countries. I feel less bad. Okay, so yeah. you can sell them for a lot, and you can also use them. In other words, so uh, yeah. So this guy James Willie starts talking to me, like totally fake name. It's not that rare, again, just because you can sell them to, basically what I was getting at. You can sell them to not so great people that will use it for not so great reasons, like murdering political dissidents, for example. Um, and yeah, they become very, very valuable. Just not even just from a money standpoint, but somebody will pay you a lot of money for it, and then they'll do something super scary with it. So anyway, a lot of people go by fake names because they're going to do that, right? And I think the United States government typically frowns on selling, you know, human rights abuse tools to people like China. So, so yeah. Anyway, didn't really think much of it, right? You know, fake name, okay, whatever. We see that all the time. Uh, that's like, you know, do they pay in money? Yeah, okay, all right, that's fine. Like, I don't give a shit if you use a fake name. Um, so they basically presented me with, you know, hey, we have this 0 day for it was Chrome actually. So uh, you know, of course, like they wanted like essentially they wanted help with it, right? So these things can get really intricate and complicated, and one of the services that my company offered was basically just help with 0 days. We could do like analysis of it and be like, hey, yeah, like here's kind of where to go next with that type of thing. So he went ahead and sent it to me, and I opened it in a completely separate computer that has nothing on it because I don't know, I'm not an idiot, you know. Um, and yeah, I mean, I was opening the code, to be clear, right? So I'm not opening something that's meant to exploit my machine. I'm actually opening the code that's meant to be compiled, that's run on another machine that will take control of it. But um, it was your classic phishing attack, which is, you know, kind of scary that somebody that's been like, I don't know, I've conducted phishing attacks and like I've like seen a lot of them, but they completely got me with it. I mean, I opened the program. Um, I opened the program with another program that's meant for development, and it turns out that, you know, these configuration files for like when you save programs and stuff like that, they can be pretty complicated. They can execute code on your machine. So when I opened the program just to look at the code, it executed other code that broke into my machine and gave them full control. Now, at the time, it doesn't look like anything. So I had no idea. Like, I was just looking around the code. I did the basic analysis of it, and just kind of wrote something up real quick. They hadn't paid or anything yet. So I was like, I'll give you like a little sample, sure. Then a couple days later, Google Tag, it's Google's threat analysis group, which is basically they uncover like sort of threat actors, if you will, which would include especially stuff like nation states that are hacking average people. So yeah, I just started reading it, and it was like, yeah, okay, so the person, typically the way the operation goes, the person will send a security researcher some code. Hey, yeah, they claim it's a Chrome 0 day. Okay, this is sounding familiar. And then at the end, it gave the aliases that they used, and sure enough, James Willie was one of them. And that's when I went back and I looked at the project that he'd given me, and sure enough, it was like glaringly right there, just this snippet of like, it's like one command that just called back to them and gave them full control over my machine, and that was that. Pretty terrifying, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're reading a bunch of code, it's just one line, so easy to miss and skip over. So,
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was, I mean, I probably should have looked for it, but I mean, it was just embedded in so much other shit that which is what they counted on, right? That it would have been difficult to find anyway. So
Yeah. So I was doing some research and I read that obviously internet access is not really a thing in North Korea. You have to be a really special person to have access to that. But I had no idea that they had a really small group of hackers that they send all over the world to train and that they're some of the best hackers in the world. I had no idea that that was a thing in North Korea.
yeah, they're actually really good. They're the Lazarus group. Um, they've conducted a lot of really big hacks to steal a lot of money to the point where it's a significant portion of North Korea's GDP. Even is stealing money. Yeah. So yes, they're pretty good at what they do. I mean, they ran an operation on Neil. I mean, that was like 3 or 4 days, right? And successful. I mean, ish. They didn't get anything, so maybe not so successful, but they did manage to break into something. So uh, yeah, they're very talented. I hate to say it, they're good at what they do.
Do you know if they were targeting anybody else at the time? Or, okay, so it's probably a group of people similar to you that
Yeah,
had.
it was all basically what we call like 0 day hunters, which is people that look for 0 days. A couple of friends got hit, a couple of just like colleagues got hit with it as well. I think in total it was like 15 to 20 people, maybe. Which I don't know. Like I was hoping it was a wider operation type thing. So like it wasn't so personal, right? But I was on a short list of people to attack, so that was really fun to find out.
That just means that you're good at what you do, I think, probably.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little bit of like an oh shit, and also like hey, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So after you figured out what happened, what was your thought process like and what did you do after that?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, my first thought was like, holy shit, and I just kind of kept looking back and just like I don't know, like it was kind of unbelievable at first, right? Like I'm like really North Korea targeted me, or like was it some dude in Lazarus that was like, hey, I'm gonna hit this guy? But no, sure enough, it was written about afterwards and by a lot of folks, and yeah, it was a full on North Korean sanctioned operation. Um, yeah, I know, right? And so it was a little crazy. I didn't quite know what to do. So I sort of like sat around for a couple days. Like I hate to say that was my reaction, but like that was pretty much it. Like sat around and was like, what do I do about this? And then the FBI called me. So uh, yeah. So they just a number popped up on my phone, and I mean these days I just don't answer my phone anymore. But I guess at the time I was still answering some phone calls, and I pick up and it was like, hey, I'm so and so with the FBI, and I of course was suspicious of everybody at that point. So I'm like, okay, like send me an email that says FBI.gov at the end of it, and then I will talk to you. So he did so. He proved that he was an FBI agent, and yeah, he just wanted to know the whole story from me. It had been already written about. I talked to the press about it. Actually, that was another reaction. It was like, all right, I'm just gonna fucking tell people this is happening. Make sure, like, let them know they're running like a pretty good fishing operation. So yeah, I did that. He learned it from that, and then he just wanted to hear kind of my version of it, see if I had kept any of the like malware that they'd sent me. And I was like, nah, dude, I deleted that shit like so fast. Um, and yeah, just took a lot of information, and we hung up and called me again like a week later, basically asked me the same questions, which is I was like, okay, maybe that's like if you remember something, or they want to like confirm your story or whatever. I don't know. He called me a third time, asking a lot of the same stuff. I was like, dude, did you need anything else or something? Like. And we hung up, and then the fourth time he called me, like I think I just didn't pick up, and I shot him an email, and I was just like, hey, dude, like I saw that you called. did you need something? Because I honestly, like, I've given you absolutely everything I can. I would help more if I could, right? But I don't have shit for you, man. Like what do you want? You know? So yeah, he sent me a really weird email back that was like kind of like it was from like a, I don't know, like I was 16 years old and it was a 16-year-old girl or something. And it was like, oh, I thought we were gonna like get something going together, and like I thought we were gonna do this, and like I was like, whoa, dude, like, man, coming on strong. But you know, it seemed like he was kind of expecting like me to be a part of doing something about it, and that was fucking weird. Um, I was just like, yeah, man, no, like you, I thought, you know, you get paid for this and you are supposed to investigate this. So how about you do your job and I'll keep doing mine and we'll work it that way, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much the aftermath. Super fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would be hesitant to do anything with the FBI because I feel like if I was in your shoes, I would do everything they wanted, collaborate with them, and then all of a sudden you'd get a charge for something.
I did think about that.
Absolutely.
And I do have a typical policy of like, don't talk to anybody until I talk to a lawyer. I kind of, I don't want to say like I forgot. I just kind of, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I didn't think about it. Like, you know, it was just like, I was still like in such kind of a holy shit moment. And then, you know, somebody's reaching out that presumably is going to help. And I was just like, yeah, sure. And it was all stuff that was also like in the public domain anyway. So I wasn't too worried. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I was like, after that, I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. That was really stupid. So yeah, really good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I've covered some cases that involve the FBI. One of the people ended up moving to Russia. He lives in Russia now. To be fair, his wife was from Russia, but his case was so sketchy. So now I'm just like, I'm just gonna never talk to the FBI. They scare me.
Yeah, maybe I'll talk to my lawyer and have them be there, and then we'll see. You know.
Yeah. So you talk to the FBI. Nothing really happens. At what point do you decide that you are going to attack North Korea right back?
Yeah, so it's, I give them about a year, just thinking, all right, they're going to do something, right? Like, surely, like, American citizens were attacked. Like, okay, I worked with the DoD and with the intelligence community. So I was like, fair enough, you know, kudos, well done. But there was other people that were hit that were just like, I don't know, people that worked for Cisco, just regular security engineer type people. I mean, very talented, don't get me wrong, but they had nothing to do with, I don't know, military or intelligence or anything like that. So it was, yeah, you just think somebody's going to do something. Like there's a smart room of people in there somewhere that's like collaborating with the NSA or with the Department of Defense or something. Or the FBI themselves maybe can do something, though I know they're more domestic. So I was also kind of like, why the fuck is the FBI contacting anyway? But, you know, it ended up just nothing happened. I waited a year. I, you know, shot some emails out, never got back to me. Just kind of wondering like what ended up happening here? Just anything at all? So when I didn't hear back, that's when I was just like, okay. I mean, I am a hacker, and let's just see what I can do. I didn't really have anything huge planned. Like in my mind, like the biggest thing I could do would be they don't have an intranet for their people, but they do have an intranet. So so they can control all of the information that they show everybody, of course, and you know how Kim is like a god or whatever the hell they want to say. So yeah, I just started poking around, and I thought maybe I can get pictures of that intranet, right? Like nobody's really seen it. They call it like I think the walled garden. That's what it translates to. So I thought, okay, if I can get pictures of that and like show it to people, maybe it'll be just like a little message of like, hey, you want to hack me? I can do some shit too. So yeah, I mean, I started just kind of poking around, looking around their network, see what I could find. Um, Ended up being that it was relatively not sophisticated. I knew that the people didn't really have access to it. So if I were to do any kind of disruption or anything like that, it would just be affecting the regime or the hackers, right? Lazarus would be affected as well, I would imagine. So yeah, I wasn't too worried like if I caused any damage. But I started poking around. There's just everything was like outdated versions of stuff. Their servers were not huge. Like they had mail servers, like domain name servers, which are what kind of translate the things you type into a browser to an IP address, and then you get sent there. All that kind of stuff. I saw of it, and I was like, this is like the size of like a medium to large like pen test, which is where we like go in and hack somebody and get paid for it. So like, yeah, I was like, okay, so like I might actually be able to do something here, like do something, like cause some disruption, maybe find some more outdated software that I could use to like break into something, get into things. But in the end, as I was mapping all of this out, like I just kept seeing like the same two IP addresses. So like the same two assets come up over and over and over. And it seemed like I was like, how is everything connected to two assets? And I wanted to kind of understand that. I mean, really, the whole point of that was just understanding their network, right? So I understood it was not sophisticated. I understood a lot of things about it. There's just a bunch of tools that we use. A lot of them are just like normal networking tools, and just want to get a lay of the land, right? And see, okay, after you've done that, you can kind of just do a little analysis. And after you have like pretty good experience and stuff like that, you can kind of choose your targets and be like, yeah, I think this is going to be the best way in, and all that. So yeah, when I saw those two assets just come up, I started to look into what they were, and it ended up being that they are the ingress and egress routers. So a good analogy to that would be like there's two roads in and out of North Korea, right? Let's just, for the sake of argument, say one road in and then one road out. That's what I was seeing. And that was any time that I would do anything. And I was hopping through like multiple countries as I was doing this. So one would imagine, and the way that most countries are shaped is that they have a ton of points of ingress and egress. Like this, usually the internet is built so that it's smart enough to kind of take the shortest path to a particular place. Not always true exactly, but it certainly wouldn't be going through the same two routers every single time. So I was like, wait, so if those two routers go down, will their entire internet be down? So like, would that be the equivalent of like putting two roadblocks up in a highway? And I was like, that can't be right. Like that, there's no way. Like I just found that. So I ended up just conducting more analysis because I was just not really believing it. And I figured like, okay, maybe I'm coming from a certain part of the world or something like that, and that's what's causing that. But no, I like rented a bunch of servers all around the world, including like China. I basically surrounded the country in servers is what I did. And I did what's called a trace route, which the details don't necessarily matter, but it just gives me the route that something's taking to get somewhere, right? So I just did that against like a bunch of assets inside their network, a bunch of different types of assets, a bunch of different like clearly located elsewhere within the country assets, etc. And sure enough, like every single time it would go in and out those same two fucking routers. And that was a little bit of a holy shit moment. I was like, those routers, they're not huge. They weren't huge. They were kind of medium sized, I'd say. And when I say like medium sized, I don't mean like a home router, right? Like a medium-sized home router. This is medium-sized for like internet scale, right? So they're still like pretty big, but I don't know, you can knock those down, you know? So I rented a bunch of bandwidth, um, grabbed a bunch of servers that, I mean, I already had a bunch, and then I grabbed even more. And I just started doing a couple things. One was I wrote some like very simple exploits for some stuff inside the country that was just outdated. When things become outdated, vulnerabilities become found and they become public, and you can use them unless somebody updates, which is why it's always important to update your computer. And everybody says that, right? Um, well, they weren't doing that. So there was a few exploits that I could use that would just cause like just disruption. It was all disruption. So I hit them with that. I hit them with a few other little techniques. And I ended up just centralizing it all into one single program. Um, and the program essentially worked like this. It was, okay, so hit a few internal assets with a good amount of bandwidth. Wait a couple minutes, go and check and see what that has done, right? If those assets are still reachable, if they're still up, let's give them a little more bandwidth, maybe try a few other different techniques, things like that. And then it would just repeat that and repeat that until it saw that it was there was enough disruption that I was like satisfied. So it was like something like a percentage. It was like 80% or so disruption in the country. And after that, because I'd found that that whole thing with the routers, I was like, well, you know, after I've knocked a few things over in the country, which I knew like basically 100% that I could do, I was like, I'm going to try this experimental one that, I mean, I've never really heard of something like that being exploited. It's entirely possible it's been done. I just don't know it. But I had no idea if it was going to work or not. So I just started focusing the rest of my bandwidth, which was, this was a fuck ton. It was a lot, on those two routers. And I did start to see a lot of degradation of services inside. Like sometimes I could reach it, sometimes I couldn't. And then at some point, like maybe a few hours in or so, all I would get back, like pretty much immediately, was there is no route to this host. And that was for every single asset within North Korea that I could see and that I had mapped out. So at that point, I kind of understood what I'd done, which was knock down their internet entirely. That would include both inbound and outbound traffic. So I don't know. I guess maybe Kim Jong Un missed like a Netflix show or something that he really wanted to watch. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of like a holy shit moment, and it was like, holy shit, I just fucking did that. That's awesome. And then it was like, holy shit, I'm gonna get murdered. Like, right. So that's how it all went down, man. It was and by the way, all of this was like, because I'd written it in like one program, it was all like fairly automated at that point, right? Like I just had to kind of watch it and make sure nothing crashed and burned, and like maybe adjust a couple little things. But like I was watching the movie Alien, like, and the TV over there, I was drinking a beer, you know, and all the while this program was just running and running, and I could see things going up and going down, and then finally just everything going down. And like obviously I had to pause Alien for that. It's okay, I've seen it a bunch of times, so it's cool. But you know, I just took a minute to be like, okay, what do I want to do with that, right? Yeah, and that was that, man. I was definitely just in a little bit of a holy shit state for a while. Just watched it, you know, enjoyed it, I suppose. And yeah.
I would pay so much money to be a fly on the wall to see Kim Jong Un's reaction to that. Like when he realized the internet was down, I feel like everybody around him probably, I don't know. I I feel like he would have thrown the biggest tantrum ever. And I love that. I'm not going to lie.
No, that's what I like to picture too. I have no idea, I have no idea if he even like noticed, right? But I assume he did, right? Well, no, he definitely noticed at this point, right? It's been in the news and shit. But at the time, I don't know. Yeah, I like to think that he was shouting at people and like crying a little,
Smashing his fist on his desk.
Yeah, exactly.
Stomping his little feet.
Yeah. That's right. And I mean, a question I get asked a lot regarding that is like, what do you think his reaction was? And do you feel bad that whoever was posing as James Willie, whether it was like a group of people or whether it was a single person or whatever, like that they might have been executed?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Right? Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
Shit.
And I mean, to be honest, my answer was like, no. I don't, I mean, I feel bad in the sense of like that they're in that situation, that they have a murderous fucking crazy dictator. But do I feel like, I don't know. Maybe I should take more responsibility for my actions. But to me, it's like, that's not my action. Like, that is the result of a murderous regime that regularly fucking murders people. And if it was people that were capable and that were out there after American citizens, like, sorry, bro. I don't know what else. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's a little cold, but.
Well, I'm curious. There's probably no way to find out who that person ended up being and what happened to them, unfortunately. But I'm curious if this might be a stupid question, but I don't really know enough about the field. But I wonder if, because they're so good at what they do, if they were able to keep their identity secret. I mean, I know there's only a finite amount of people in that group, but maybe, hopefully, they were able to keep who they were a secret and therefore didn't have any repercussions.
Yeah, I would think. I would think a lot of people were James Willie at any one time. Like this, I figure there was like a rotation because they kept this going for 3 or 4 days. It wasn't like, yeah, I don't know. I figure there was just a lot of people in it, and it was Lazarus, right? Like Lazarus has been extremely successful. So, just because they hacked a person that could like do something about it and would do something about it. I don't see that like being I see it as being like realistic, but I doubt anything happened, It wasn't like, I don't know. So maybe that's a part of it too. It's just like I don't think anything would happen. And I'm like, they're very valuable to the regime, right? So
yeah, that makes me feel a lot better. So thank you for that, because for a second I was like, oh shit. I hope he's okay.
No, I hadn't thought about that until somebody like asked me that. And I was like, fuck, that's a good question. And then I was just like, nah. I know. I mean, it sounds terrible, but like, that was fucking scary, man. And yeah. And even after that, like I dropped it. So I dropped the internet for like, it's about a week, maybe 9 days. And most people are like, wow, like, good accomplishment. Like you dropped them for like 9 days, 8 days, something like that. Like it's a shame, like you couldn't keep it going for longer. And, like one piece of context that I like to give out is like, I could have kept it going for, I mean, it could still be down now if I wanted it to be, not to like, like, I mean, it's just like, it's just facts. Like, because what I found was, in the end, a very deep architectural vulnerability in the way that their internet is shaped. It's not an easy fix. I don't think it's been fixed even today, like several years later. I could probably use literally that same program and do the exact same thing at any time. So, yeah, I mean, I rented the bandwidth for like a month. I stopped at a week because I was like, okay, like what's proportional to what they have done? Maybe. And I played it on the safe side, I think. Maybe, I don't know, taking down an entire country. I don't know what the fuck, but um, yeah, I was just kind of like, this is to send a message. It's not to cause a panic or, well, I don't know. I don't give a fuck if I cause a panic. Like it's the regime, right? It's not the people. But I think it was more about not being murdered myself, where I was just kind of like, okay, like I'm gonna take it easy on you guys, and you can have it back. You're welcome, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just had an internet outage for almost 3 days. It's funny because I just switched to Frontier. I have fiber and I got a gig because I like to game online. So I was like, I'll be baller. And I was literally just telling my friend, you have to switch to Frontier. I've never had an outage. Boom, 3-day outage. When I tell you that I was ready to burn my house down, I was losing my mind. I mean, I can connect with cellular data, but I can't stream or do anything with it. And I was losing it. So I can't imagine 9 days. I think I would have to be institutionalized, which is sad, but true.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree, first of all. I mean, give me like 12 hours without it and I'd probably be like going fucking crazy.
It's bad.
But yeah, it's bad. And I mean, this was, obviously, like, with home internet, we do different things, but I mean, it's still a valid and decent comparison, right? If somebody asks me, like, I've been asked this, but like, okay, so like put this in more like human terms, what happened to them? I mean, the obvious answer is like they got no internet, like, but that means everything, like everything that you would do normally, email. Right. I mean, they had mail exchange servers in there, so clearly they're sending email out somewhere. They do have like diplomatic relations with a lot of countries, China being one of them. Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know. China likes to pretend that they don't like them, but like I think they're like secretly like kind of, they have like a little secret romance there that we don't know about. Like, Xi and Kim are just kind of, I won't go further than that. But yeah, so it, I'm sure, disrupted some stuff. I'm sure there was a lot of things that they just couldn't do that were probably important to them. Hopefully I took up a bunch of their time, and hopefully it cost them some money. And that time was used, and it was time where they weren't murdering people, hopefully. So, yeah, it's just, it looks a lot, it looks a lot like that. Yeah. I just think it looks a lot like a home network would be, except on a larger scale.
Yeah. And I feel like, the internet there is unfortunately probably not being used for anything productive because citizens don't have internet. They barely even have food. So,
yeah,
you're only impacting, the government or other governmental entities. So people that respectfully we don't really care about because they're not nice. So
that's right. No, you're absolutely right. And that made it really, that was a big part of what made it a lot easier, I think, is, you go to any other country and try some shit like that, and you end up having some kind of civilian effect and, dick move, right? Like they have it hard enough, right? You don't want to like affect them any more than they already are. So yeah, it just managed to be a very targeted attack while still being a very loud attack, while still being able to send a message, which was nice. Yeah, I tried to kind of minimize the risk to myself as well by keeping it semi-short, right? I mean, I guess, I don't know how short that actually is, but yeah, man, that's, yeah, I know it's a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
So 2 questions.
Sure.
Do you know if they had a response to what you were doing? And if so, what was their response? And do you think they know who you were? And if so, did that happen quickly, do you think, or?
Yeah, no, it's good questions. So in terms of response, I have not seen any. Like from like a network response. I guess I mean, like I've not seen anything really change. Not that I've really been looking that hard. Totally not looking hard at North Korea at all. But I haven't seen that much change from that perspective. Now, in terms of like what their actual reaction is on like a world stage and a public stage, it kind of seems like they're ignoring it, which good. I do know that they knew exactly who I was within the week. Um, that's just because, frankly, at first I was just going to do it completely openly without any kind of alias or anything like that. I happy to be talking to a reporter about it already. And then, kind of right before release, somebody kind of scared the shit out of me and was like, no. Uh, and I was like, fucking fine. And I released under the name PAX, P4X, which is a little bit of, I don't know, it's kind of serious, but also kind of a joke, right? I mean, PAX, hey, maybe don't. And then maybe I won't, right? Let's just like all chill out here. Obviously, I know that's never going to happen, and I doubt what I did helped any of that. But that is kind of the meaning behind it. So I released as that name and stayed that way for 2 years, where I'd say the general public didn't know who I was, but there was this very well-known hacker online that kind of outed me. Yeah, yeah, it was. I don't blame him. It's okay. Like I kind of pissed him off, and he didn't really understand. Yeah, right. So he didn't really understand like why I was saying some of the things I was, and it was really just like it was really sort of like a hint of what's to come, and he didn't really understand it. Kind of thought I was making fun of him. I think I was not, but whatever. Um, and anyway, it ended up being that this guy was let's see, yeah, ended up being somebody that was actually a very deep connection within some of the folks that I worked with after the whole thing. So yeah, it was really interesting. After that, like intelligence agencies, Department of Defense, like lots of entities of the Department of Defense, they knew who I was too. So they wanted to know, like, okay, how'd you do it? How would you repeat it? How can you recreate stuff like that? Ended up talking to them a lot, which was nice, but also in the back of my mind just knew, yeah, like obviously, like if some random people know, I mean, first of all, intelligence, DoD, okay, I get it. Like you guys can figure shit out, right? But then there's also like just some random people out there on the internet that know, like definitely North Korea knows. So that was a little bit scary. I was told to get armed, and I did, which is not my favorite, but kind of necessary, I guess. I was told like what a threat would look like. I'm not a threat, but like a hate, an assassination, or some kind of attempt at hurting me. And yeah, right. I know I see your faces. Yeah. And people when I mentioned this and mentioned that it was like pretty scary, they're like, well, didn't you know it would have repercussions? It's like, well, yeah, but now I'm fucking hearing exactly how it would happen. So it was basically what they told me was it's not like the movies. And I've kind of learned that since is it's not like the movies. They're not going to send some North Korean super spy to, flick through some shit and whatever, like a Korean James Bond or anything like that. Usually what they'll do is they'll just pay a local gang or something like that. And hey, like we were robbing him and shit, sorry, we stabbed him, stuff like that. So uh, yeah, good times. Fun conversations at the beginning there.
Do they actually do that regularly? Is it safe for me to ask that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question because I don't know the answer. Is my honest answer. I doubt it. I think is what I would say. I doubt they do that regularly, but um, if they are going to do that, they're either trying to one send a message, right? Like I think more about like let's think about Russia, right, where they're very loud about it, right? So um, sometimes they want to send a message, right? Like Navalny, like they didn't exactly hide that one.
Nah, right on an airplane. Nerve agent, boom.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like people fall out a window. They have like their classic methods that's basically like leaving their calling card, right? Um, but then I'm sure there's other ones that they want somebody gone, but they don't want the repercussions of it. Cause I mean, there are generally repercussions, right? I mean, maybe not immediately and maybe not overtly, but they certainly become a lot more dangerous in the eyes of important politicians and people that make decisions in the Department of Defense. So it's a loud thing to do. So I would say, yeah, I mean it's probably been done before. I wouldn't discount it at all, given especially who we're talking about, right, in North Korea. But um, I don't know. You know, I honestly don't know, and I guess that's the point, right? Is we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of North Korea attacking an American in America. I mean, obviously we know that there are people that have taken trips there and it has gone really poorly. But I don't know that I've ever heard of, I mean, and maybe it's happened and the government hasn't told us, or maybe it's happened and we just don't know.
That's possible. Yeah, I did look that up. You know, that was one thing that I looked up was how many people have they assassinated, and uh, who were they, and why. You're exactly right. There's no overt attack on American citizens on American soil, especially. Um, I think that's there's a lot of really good reasons for that, but I mean, first of all, like even the geography of the country actually makes that really difficult. Their only exit is basically like China. Like that's it. The rest is like sea or the other country on this, South Korea, right? Yeah, there we go. I don't know how I forgot that. Or South Korea, which like nobody's getting through South Korea. They,
Well, it does
I mean, no, you're
happen.
right.
It does
That's fair.
happen,
No, you're right. That's fair.
but it's
Um,
not easy.
it's not easy, exactly. Like there's a lot of guns pointed in both directions, and you know, and I'm sure the Chinese side is just being watched like crazy by the United States and other folks like that. So there haven't been any overt attacks. Their last assassination was in '95, no, 2001 or something like that, where Kim Jong Un's. No, it had to be later than that. 2011. There was a one in there somewhere. I don't know. But that's when Kim Jong Un's brother was assassinated in, I think it was the Malaysian airport.
Yeah, right in the, yeah. Ooh, that was crazy. And I think they just paid a person to go up to him and I don't even think they knew what they were doing, which is really unfortunate. Then there's footage of him collapsing. It's
That's right. Yeah. And it was actually,
crazy.
so it's actually even a little bit crazier than that. I don't know how much I believe about they didn't know what they were doing. I don't know, honestly. Like I mean that as in I don't know. Like I'm not saying it's the opposite. I'm not saying it's one or whatever. But they actually took it was two young women. They gave one something to rub on somebody's face, and they said both of these young women said, they were told that they were on some prank show, right? Like a candid camera kind of thing where it's a camera and like, hey, your job is to just like rub this thing in his face and run away. We'll watch his reaction, etc. Um, and the other was told to do the same thing, and thought the exact same thing was, their story. And so each one of those agents that they gave them, and by agents, I mean like chemicals that they gave them, they were benign, but when mixed together, they formed like VX gas. So that's how the assassination kind of went down. Was like one just did it and was like, oh, haha, and whatever. And then the other one did it, and this guy's on the floor dying. Um, I don't know, man. That story's a little sus to me. I don't know. It's a little sus to me. I mean, sure. Number one, those are really shitty pranks. And like, wouldn't you kind of wonder, like, wait, so like, what's the actual prank here? Like rubbing shit in someone's, like, okay, and what is this, by the way? Like, right? But yeah, I don't know. And then the other person doing the same thing, it's just kind of it's hard for me to believe that more questions wouldn't have been asked, and that you could get two young women to do that just like randomly. And then I guess the other thing is, once the second person rubbed that shit all over that guy's face, right? Like, they had to have gone and washed their hands like really fucking fast, or else they would probably be dead themselves. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know enough about like VX nerve agent, but the whole thing sounds a little bit sus to me, but I don't know. Maybe that's a conspiracy theory. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, luckily for you, you are not a threat to his seat.
That's
and
exactly
power. But that never made sense. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be able to get into the mind of somebody like him or Saddam Hussein or anybody of that nature, because I just can't rationalize it. But his brother left the country years prior, and wanted nothing to do with it. So it just didn't make sense to me. But
Yeah.
crazy people do crazy things.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, he was worried about like some Game of Thrones shit, right? Like hey, no, I'm the rightful leader. Like, he had no interest in that. But the other concern was also that he could talk to intelligence agencies and give them information, I think, on stuff inside the country, which they probably already had anyway. I don't know. And yeah, it had been years. Like, there's really no point to it. So that was definitely like a factor as well. Like, there was concern of like, okay, what do dictators not like? They probably don't like looking weak. Like, again, I can't get into somebody's head like that, but I think that was more a message of, at least I read a little bit about it. It was a message of, I'll kill family if I have to, but I'm in power, kind of thing. So, yeah, making them kind of look like little bitches on the world stage may have been risky, was risky. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I just had to just watch myself, right? Like, in the end, the advice of this would look like probably a gang or something like that just means normal people precautions, just like extra of them, like don't go dark places late at night kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely been a little bit of like, look over my shoulder and kind of stuff. So yeah.
Are you still nervous about any potential retaliation from North Korea, or do you think enough time has passed where they've probably just moved on from it?
I think enough time has passed. Again, much like you said, I can never really get into the head of somebody like that. There's just you never know. Like, I just can't I can't predict what that regime is going to do. And a lot of people kind of say like, well, they're just fucking crazy, right? I don't think so. I don't think that's true. I think they're very strategically crazy, which means not crazy at all. they launch missiles over Japan, they test missiles, they do all kinds of stuff like that just makes them seem like wild cards. But I think that's a safety mechanism for them. It's like, look, we'll fucking launch nukes. We don't give a fuck kind of thing, right? But I don't know really, right? I don't know. So I feel relatively safe. I still do usually have like a Glock when I'm coding, like usually right there. It's not there right now. But I actually do. And it's definitely still watch myself, but I don't think anything's going to happen. Yeah, that's the best I can give, unfortunately.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know how to combat that. I guess, like, if you ever thought that there was a threat, I wonder if you could send them a message and be like, listen, I'm done messing with you, but just so you know, I have my computer ready to go to do this again, and I have to log into my computer and stop it every day. So if something ever happens to me, it can't get stopped. So leave me alone. Let's be friends.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. No, I've definitely put out some things that are messages more for them than for anybody else, right? I do actually have a standing. I've told this to a lot of people that I know, and deep within DoD. That's the other thing is I have friends, right? So that's good. I've heard things that, like, I've had like a friend call me and be like, "Hey, there might be a potential credible threat today, so like just stop what you're doing and like don't go anywhere." But it ends up being nothing most of the time. I mean, all the time so far. So that's good to know that there's people that I know and are friends of mine that have my back. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have a standing order of use all of my life savings. If something happens to me, it is not an accident. It was definitely North Korea. Use all of my life savings. Get everybody that I know in Special Operations Command, which is just happens to be a lot of people, and I'm like, pay them whatever the fuck they want and have them blow as much shit up as they can with the money that I have. So that is one thing. Is that helpful? I don't know. Maybe. But I have a lot of safety mechanisms. Sorry, I did air quotes. I guess you can't hear air quotes. But yeah, I have some things like that that are maybe potential deterrents, I suppose. But who knows if those make any kind of difference at all.
You have to get Dennis Rodman on your side somehow. We need Dennis Rodman. We need somehow to facilitate a virtual meeting between you and Dennis Rodman. And we need Dennis Rodman to tell his buddy, like, please leave this guy alone.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Yeah, like where's he live?
Is he on Cameo? Hey, Dennis Rodman, I'm paying for this cameo. I hacked North Korea's internet. Can you please, and I'm sorry, can you please tell Kim that I won't do it again and leave me alone? Like, truce. White flag.
Just tell him like, bro, we cool? And give him a fist bump for me. Come on.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Better yet, have him call me. We'll do a Zoom call or something.
I don't know. That I would be too, I don't know.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of an awkward call, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, that should be your next step, is somehow get in touch with Dennis Rodman and see if he can help you out.
I'm going to do that.
It sounds stupid, but I know Kim Jong-un loves him. Like, I know that they're like this for some odd reason.
They're like BFFs, man. So I gotta get on my Dennis Rodman game.
Same.
Just got to color my hair like just right.
Leopard print.
Traditional earring. Yeah, leopard print. Like, yeah.
Brush up on 90s Bulls trivia. You'll be good.
Learn North Korean dialect. I don't know, man. Oh man, that's a good idea though. I'm gonna look up where he lives. Maybe it's nearby.
Just do a casual pop by. Hey, I know I don't know you, but let's have a chat.
Oh, hey, are you Dennis Rodman? Oh, that's a real coincidence. I just happen to want to talk to you about dropping North Korea's internet for a week. Could you please send a message? Probably think I'm a crazy person.
I mean, he's
That's fair.
a unique person. So
yeah, that's actually fair.
You know.
We might actually connect. You
yeah.
know?
So how has going public outside of the potential threats affected your personal and professional life?
Yeah, so personal life, not well, I wouldn't say not a ton. Yeah, not like a huge amount or anything like that. Ever since then, I've become like a Z-list celebrity. I think, like, you know, maybe somebody's heard of me if I go out and try to find them. But other than that, mostly it's just scared away women when I'm online dating. Uh, you know, like at some point I have to sit down and be like, hey, so just so you know, you know, like I mean, I feel you can't hide something like that, right? Like that's, I don't know, like if I am potentially in danger, like you kind of got to be straight up about that. So I get ghosted a lot, which is okay. So does everybody. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the main way, which is not like super significant, you know. Um, Other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of a lot of newspapers, a lot of radio. It's been a lot. Yeah, it's like just so fucking much. Like NPR, like I speak Spanish too, so Telemundo's out there. They interviewed me like a week ago. Fucking Univision's. It's like there's two big channels. I was on NPR with Dina Temple Raston. I was like, shit, like I recognize your voice. And like that's just a tiny sample of like things. But I can always tell it's like hit certain regions by like the followers I get on Twitter. I'm like, okay, like this is people speaking Spanish to me, but it's clearly Spanish. So I got to look for that like Spain article, right? And yeah, sure enough, there's a Spain article. They actually interviewed me, so I knew there would be one. But yeah, it's been a lot, which it's not bad, right? I still own a company. It does get like good attention for the company and stuff like that. It makes people think that I'm an amazing hacker, right? So like that helps with stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, honestly, like it people are a little bit divided, right? Like some people are afraid to associate with me, and some people really want to. And that's fine with me. I don't particularly give a shit. I own my company. I'm not going to fire myself, yet. So it's all good. It's all good, really. I'm always doing okay. Like I it was a whole thing, but like I sold this company before and then I got it back later, which is really weird. So, I'm not like begging for clients or anything like that. I'm just taking it slow, taking it easy, and doing my thing. So it's been surprisingly like it's just busy. I've just been busy, really, is all. Other than that, it hasn't yeah, and I guess that divide of like, yeah, we want to hang out with you, or like, yeah, we're staying the fuck away from you. That's been a pretty stark one. It's like the same in the online dating world and the business world. It's funny. So yeah.
You probably can't answer this and it's okay, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you hacked or done anything in any other countries?
I would never. No, actually, I got asked that by the Spain newspaper. And the answer is like, I just don't remember.
Do you think you could do it to like a bigger country that is similar to North Korea that I won't say? I'm not asking if you would. I'm just asking, do you think
you're talking about? But if I like were to like the exact same attack wouldn't be able to be reproduced.
It's probably a lot more
Depending on the
sophisticated
country.
there.
It depends on the country, right? If we're talking about, say, a smaller country, maybe. If we're talking about maybe a larger country, um, there's still things you can do, I would imagine, that would have some kind of helpful effect. But, um, I think I've messed with enough dictators at this point, or
Yeah.
just the one, I mean. And yeah, so I guess official answer, I have no idea and I don't remember.
Good. It's a good answer. So, what projects or initiatives are you currently working on? I know you have your own company if you want to get into that.
No, it's not. Yeah, I don't want to like advertise or anything. It's all good. Just yeah, I have a company. It's called Hyperion Gray. I go by the name Hyperion. Up, they won't be able to see it on the radio. I have a tattoo of how it's spelled. It's underscore HYP3RI0N. And I only spell that out for people because that's my Twitter handle also. That's pretty much where I announce everything. So, including like shit like this. So, yeah, that's where I have my company called Hyperion Gray. Kind of Google search for that if you want. We do a lot of like just attack stuff, just offensive security, like not security that is offensive, like attack security. Like, yeah, it's not like a firewall that just says "fuck you" every once in a while, but yeah. So yeah, we do a lot of offensive stuff, and it's a good time. So we like to enjoy our work and do a good job and stuff. So.
Did you get that name from anywhere? I'm only asking because it's the name of a weapons manufacturer in Borderlands, which is one of my favorite video games. So I had to ask.
Oh, that's interesting. No, so it didn't come from there, but at the time, I think I just like when I started it, I think the movie Immortals had just come out, which is, I mean, it wasn't like a fantastic movie or anything. But I was like, oh yeah, that was a pretty good movie. And the main like bad dude's name is Hyperion. And I kind of looked it up, and Hyperion was a titan of wisdom and light. And I was like, okay, like that's something that we're trying to provide. At the time, we started as a research and development company purely, so kind of made a lot more sense then. Yeah, right. I was just kind of going by that handle as well. So the company name kind of took after the handle, or the handle took after the company name. I forget which way it was, but yeah, no, there's not like any super good reason other than like cool name, watched movie, liked movie, Titan of Wisdom and Light. It's a little flimsy, but I was like, I'll allow it. So rolled with that one.
I have to ask, since you have 4 Guy Fawkes masks on your wall, is it because you like V for Vendetta, or is it because of Anonymous? I know that Anonymous is supposed to be anonymous, but
no, it's okay. It's not a problem. It's both a little bit. I did really like V for Vendetta.
Great movie.
Awesome movie. The other part is like I wouldn't say it's really about Anonymous. I don't particularly give a shit about them. I think they're a very interesting phenomenon that has been around for a while. I would say it's really become like an icon of like hacker culture. So that's really more why they're up there. Like I don't usually like do anything with them or like be a part of them or anything like that. Which like I'd just say if I was like, frankly, I've done enough illegal things already that like, what the fuck, why not? But no, I'm not. I generally don't. I don't know. Sometimes I agree with what they're doing. Sometimes I don't. And yeah, I don't know. I like to do my own thing. And if I need other people, like I'll call some friends or something. But
I'm pretty sure they went after Westboro Baptist Church, if I'm not mistaken. And
that's a good
I
one.
loved that
Yeah,
because
that's a
the
great one.
Westboro Baptist Church is one of the worst. I don't know how they're not considered a
Are
domestic
they not?
terrorist organization
Yeah.
because they're not religious. They are,
No,
I
they're
don't
just
know.
fucking hateful assholes. That's all.
Yeah, they are. I should cover them in the podcast, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. All right. So before we wrap up, do you have any advice or words of wisdom for just the general population regarding cybersecurity?
I do. It's not the best, but if somebody's targeting you, you're fucked. that's that's the best advice I can give. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard the kind of classic, like, don't click on the link, don't do this bullshit, blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to be another like PSA message, but one thing that people probably don't know is that offense is way, way, way just orders of magnitude beyond defense. The reason for that is you just need one small bug for defense to fail. And these things are complicated, right? There's organizations with hundreds of thousands of assets out there. And like, even as a person, you probably have hundreds of attack vectors that you don't even think about, right? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately. So if somebody is wanting to get into your stuff, get into your computer, phone, listen in on you, watch you on a webcam, uh, they're and they know what they're doing. Sorry, I need to add that. And they know what they're doing. Um, you are definitely fucked. I got hit with what was essentially a phishing scam. Like, how many fucking times have I been told, and have I told other people, don't download things that you don't know of and don't fucking open them? But I did anyway. Why? Because they ran a little operation on me. And in the end, it wasn't that sophisticated. It was just they knew the right carrot to dangle in front of me. So maybe that's good advice, is watch for people dangling carrots in front of you that are like, you're like, oh, wow, that's exactly what I want. You should think twice. Aside from that, man, all I can say is like, yes, if somebody wants to attack you and they actually know what they're doing, or if it's a nation state, you're just fucked. They have more resources than you. They have more time than you. They can run all kinds of shit on you, and you never know it. So,
And this is exactly why I have a webcam cover on my webcam at all times, unless I am recording video, because I am so paranoid about this stuff. It's not even funny.
and
Same
you
thing with my
absolutely
phone.
yeah, you absolutely should be. That's the right way to be, honestly. And I mean, I can't say that like people won't find a way around it anyway, because they probably will. But you definitely make it at least harder on them, and they'll move on to the next person, maybe. So, you know, yay.
If I'm ever targeted, I'm reaching out to you. Hey, Alejandro, I don't know if you remember me, but help, send help.
Absolutely. No, yeah, and actually, that is one thing I should mention. Like, if anybody does actually need help in some way, like um, after this, well, actually, one thing that I have been contacted about is people that are getting like generally cyber stalked, which is just anybody that is um, harassing you online, changing usernames, and continuing to harass, publishing pictures of you that you don't want, anything like that. We do investigations into that. So like a lot of people ask me to do it for free, and sometimes I will. I'll help out. I just unfortunately I have to like eat and stuff, so I always try to give as many people a break as I can in terms of like costs. But we do that. I mean, we do have a couple of engagements like that right now, even. So if anybody just does really need people that can actually hack and like fight back against that, we are absolutely there for that. That's something that we provide. So,
Well, that's good to know because I covered a case and outed somebody that definitely killed somebody. And I was being cyber stalked and getting death threats for like months after.
Holy shit.
It stopped, thankfully, but I ended up like paying so much money to have well, I know that I can't ever do this completely, especially with the dark web. I know my social, everything's on there, but the regular internet, I paid so much money to have all of my information scrubbed because I really thought that somebody from like South Carolina was going to come to New England and kill me. I was like, oh, God, this is so good to know. I'll keep that in my back pocket the next time I just decide to cover a case like that.
Yeah, anytime you out any murderers and you need to stay safe online. Yeah. Actually, my business partner is a cop as well. So I mean, not just a cop. I shouldn't call him a cop. I keep calling him that, and I think he's really getting annoyed with me. It's okay. He is the commander of a major cyber crimes unit. So that's somebody that I work with. He's a partial owner of the company as well. So if people need help, like really, like we're there to help. So.
That's so cool. I'll include all of your information, your company information in the show notes too. So that way people know, if they ever need to contact you for business like that, they can.
Yeah. And even if it's not for business and I need like quick advice, I can do that. And I'm happy to continue to give long-term advice, but that's pretty much as far as I can go, just because like then it starts to take up like a lot of time.
Right.
So yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you, by the way.
Oh, no worries. All right, Alejandro, thank you so much for coming on. If you liked what you heard today, please like, subscribe. You can find me on all social media at fthatpod, except for Instagram, which is fthat_pod. Alejandro, can you give your Twitter handle one more time?
Yeah, it's at Hyperion. That is _HYP3RI0N.
Thank you so much for coming on and thanks for listening.